In addition to what's going on in our brain, we have things that are going on with the people around us. We have social influences. One of the most powerful social influences on consumption is our family. Families are where we learn to consume, right? Many of the products, many of the foods, many of the ways of buying we learn in the family household. There's research that suggests that children begin forming brand preferences as early as age 2. So in the olden days, a child's first word was mommy or daddy. Now it's Ronald McDonald or Nike. Daddy, want Nike. Make me one fast like Tiger Woods. And then traditional thinking, Piaget's theories of childhood development was that by age 16, our brains are pretty much fully formed. That's actually not true. Many of the attitudes that we have towards product are fully in place by the time that we're 16. But recent research has suggested that our brains are still relatively plastic into our early 20s, meaning that they're not fully formed yet, which means like if people who are teenagers act like they don't have a fully formed brain, it's because they don't have a fully formed brain. So yeah, in a family, there is a lot of times decision-making process going on because it is a collective situation. We have different family members playing different roles in making product decisions. So we might have information gatherers, influencers, decision makers, purchasers, or users. If anybody has ever been in a grocery store and seeing a cart full of small children, you can see influencers at work. Want that? Want that? No, want that. But again, different people in the family may play different roles, but a lot of times it may be more than one person that makes the ultimate decision, but it's a collaborative process. Another social influence is culture. Definition of culture is a set of values, ideas, and attitudes that are shared amongst members of a group. Many times issues related to morality are culturally based. So what is right or wrong depends on the culture that I was raised in. Food preferences, many times rituals, which are also consumption occasions, are related to culture. So birthdays, weddings, funerals, coming of age rituals, those are all culturally related. Is it a quinceañera or is it a bat mitzvah? Just and how we celebrate and what they are is very much related to culture, and those are all important consumption occasions. A subculture is a part of a culture that's sub. It's a subset of a culture that has shared ideas and attitudes. From my perspective, Gospel According to Bruce, subcultures are more important to marketing than cultures. And we especially get this when we get into quote-unquote ethnic marketing, because the assumption of all people of an ethnic group are the same is just not true. Well, it's true in some areas, but not necessarily in very many useful areas. But when it comes to subcultures, this may be more useful because Gospel According to Bruce, people have more freedom to choose the subcultures with which they identify than the cultures. So I choose, I'm an old white guy. Would anybody disagree with that? Please say no, middle-aged, perhaps young. We'll agree on the white guy part, but do you have to say old? So I don't really have a lot of choice about being an old white guy. There's not much I can do about that. But I choose to identify as Scottish because my name is Robertson, and it's been many, many generations since anybody from my family had a residence on the other side of the Atlantic. But I choose to identify as Scottish, and because I choose to identify as Scottish, I'm looking to find items that I can purchase that will help me solidify that identity. So I might have a kilt in the Robertson plaid because I've been told that that's the plaid that Robertsons wear. And you should see me at Christmas because it's really cool. Or I might choose to have haggis or drink Scotch whiskey because that is, again, those are ways of affirming my subculture, which I have choice over, as opposed to I really don't have choice as to whether or not I'm a white guy. Similarly, in St. Patrick's Day, everybody chooses to identify as Irish. And there's a lot of consumption activity related to green beverages that happen on St. Patrick's Day as ways of affirming my temporary Irish identity. But again, subcultures I have a little bit more choice of, and because I have the choice of which subcultures to identify with, I'm likely to use consumption choices to demonstrate, to show that subculture choice.